name is Sean Cummings, and this is my Selfless Love Act. On my ordinary Sunday, I do what I enjoy, playing basketball. Unfortunately, I don't spend my time trying to better the lives of others. Last Sunday, I plan to change that. I skipped basketball and spent time enacting a selfless love act of kindness for my grandmother. About 9 years ago, she had a stroke that resulted in her being paralyzed on her left side. That makes her unable to do many things that a healthy person can. I knew that she has a strong passion for Christmas, so I bought her a Christmas tree and decorated it. I drove in a truck with my uncle and mother through my hometown of East New York. We pulled into a crowded driveway and saw the bright orange Home Depot sign on a large building. As we entered, the heat entered my coat. I was then overwhelmed by the aroma of pine. We saw arrays of trees, large and small. My mom said, "I don't like the balsam because they have weak branches. But look at the Fraser tree. All their branches are nice and stiff." I also like the Fraser. It had piercing green leaves and a thick shade. We continued to scan the trees as my mom said, "Oh, this one's cute. Let's get it." My uncle responded, "Are you sure?" She said, "No." Oh, that one's cute. Let's get it." Was there an echo in the room? Just a few steps away, we saw the perfect tree, a 7-foot tall Fraser. I watched as it was trimmed down with a chainsaw, and horror movies ran through my head. I regained focus, and we walked to the car and strapped the tree down to the roof of the car. I sat in the warm car as the tree rustled above me. We got to my grandmother's house, and I knocked on the door. My grandmother's nurse answered the door and instantly hugged me. I walked to my grandmother's room, and she said, "Hello," in Creole. She responded, "Oh, you're so handsome. I have no money, but I'll spend it all on you." I have no idea how to speak Creole, but my mom told me what she meant. I left and began to screw the tree stand into the stand. We then brought out a heavy brown box. We opened it and pulled out ornaments covered in old newspaper scraps. In the meantime, my grandmother was singing "Come All Ye Faithful" in her room. We added the lights ornamented delicately in silver and gold. I showed the tree to my grandmother and she said, "Oh, amen, hallelujah." I said, "I'm set for Christmas." Such joy ran through me and my giant grin as I saw her so happy. I don't spend nearly enough time with my grandmother, and I needed something to express that I love her no matter what and how little I see her. I think this act of kindness will work perfectly for that purpose. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sato Lopez. I'm a 6th grader at George Jackson Academy. I'll be honest, I'm not a morning person. I'm grouchy, sluggish, and yes, even a little whiny. My parents have to deal with that, and I'm so grouchy that I never thank them for anything. This is not how I want my parents to remember me. I decided to do a selfless love act for my mother, Anna. I chose her because my dad is constantly away on photo shoots in London and LA. My mom takes me to the train where I should say bye, since I don't see her for the next 10 hours. She wakes me up at 5 to 5:30. Also, she constantly tells me to brush my teeth, yet I have never stopped to thank her. I realize this is no way to treat my mom. In light of this, my SLA was to do all these things for myself that my mom usually does for me. These activities include waking up early, getting dressed before 6, and brush my teeth without my parents telling me. While doing my SLA, I had a problem. My alarm woke me and my mom up. So much for the surprise. Yet I carried it on, and when my mom came to where I'd gone to sleep after getting ready, she woke me up. I told her I was done and dressed. Finally, she asked me, "Did you brush my teeth?" Which I probably said I had. But the problem is, I have a tooth coming through, and it didn't smell like I had brushed my teeth. I was so frustrated. "No fair," I said. 2 of my 3 proposals were busted. It could not get any worse. Well, my mom didn't walk me to the train, so of course I forgot to say goodbye. I was determined to complete the last part of my SLA no matter what. Gladly, it turned out doable. I sat down with my mom and told her the 5 reasons why I'm grateful for her. I told her the first reason was that she gave birth to me. My mom responded with a chuckle. The second reason is that she was supportive. An example of that occurred when I took the admissions test to George Jackson Academy. Although I was stressed about it, my mom said she would be proud of me no matter what happened. Next, the third, is my mom has paid for my tuition every month. The fourth reason is my mom intuitively notices when something is wrong with me. She can read my body language and tell when I am acting strangely. And then she tries to help with the best of her ability. The final reason is my mom encourages me to overcome my sluggish attitude with motivation. After I told my mom these reasons, she started tearing up and gave me a hug. I'm not sure if she started crying or not because I had to leave for school a few minutes later. I'm lucky to have my parents. They are supportive, proud, and strong. I'm sure that with the support from my parents, I'll go a long way and learn a lot. Thank you.
Hello, my name is Mohammed Falala, and I'm in the 7th grade. I am sacrificing my safety. I could die in a kitchen fire. Just kidding. Instead of reading Fablehaven or writing in my long story about magic, I was going to cook, and I hate cooking. I'm so lazy, but what can I do? I just cannot stand chopping stuff. Instead of following my usual Saturday plan to sneak in the kitchen in the morning and steal cookies, I was going to be a chef. Boiling was going to be especially hard since I have never cooked anything in my life. So I was pretty anxious. I had to convince my dad and my sister to help and keep this a secret from my mom. On Friday, I told my dad, tomorrow I'm going to make breakfast for Mom. Okay, do not burn the house down. So at first you wash the beans and then you heat them? He frowned. If you have any questions about how to cook it, don't do it. This was the first problem. I had to convince my dad to help. I was feeling desperate that my plan would fail. It was my turn to frown. I have to. Before my dad could reply, my mom walked down the stairs. I needed to think. I shuffled up the stairs and dashed into the bathroom. I'd have to ask my mom without revealing my intentions. I went back downstairs and walked over to my 7-year-old sister, Manal. She was sitting on the couch, scribbling furiously in her notebook. I flopped onto the couch and whispered into her ear, Manal, I trust you to keep this a secret, okay? Tomorrow at 8 o'clock in the morning, I need you to prevent Mom from coming downstairs. She grinned, signaling an okay sign. I went back upstairs to deal with another major problem. My mom would have to not be able to see through my disguise. I asked, Mom, how do you make beans again? Why? I had to make a good excuse. I want to put all the family recipes in this little notebook. In that case, why don't you make the beans for us tomorrow? My mom wasn't supposed to know this. I felt like I was falling into an endless pit, not finding any hold onto the rocks. A little fib couldn't do much damage, right? No, I'll only cook when my career starts. My mom was accidentally catching on to the SLA. This was potentially catastrophic. We both looked at my notebook, laying on the bed. I instantly knew what was in her mind. She tried to swipe at my notes, but I nimbly grabbed the book and evaded her grip. She said, okay, confess. Which one of your teachers wants my recipe? Nobody. Oh, that's okay anyway. I told you the bad recipe. Blackmail was the only thing going on in my mind. She pressed on, who wants it? I had to say something. My friend Sean. Silly little liar. I was getting desperate. I retreated to my bedroom and slept. It was pretty late. Next day, I woke up at 8:14, tiptoed downstairs, and roamed the kitchen in search of the beans. They were nowhere to be found. I was feeling great anxiety about this. I finally found the beans, but the next problem was opening them. I didn't know how to open a can. After using a wide array of kitchen weapons, such as a butcher knife, a can opener, fingers, and a ladle, In about 10 minutes, I managed to pry open the beans and pour them out. I heated them up and then set them on the plate. They were a success. I then cut the tomatoes, got spinach, and tried the eggs. I laid the yolk on a pot, but sadly the eggs popped and burned. I only got a few eggs on the plate. I placed the tomatoes in such artistically on the plate, and then my mom came downstairs. We hollered a surprise, and she smiled. She approved of the breakfast and smiled even more. Happiness shone through her eyes. That was all I needed to be content myself. Tears welled up in my eyes, but I concealed them from her. My sister, my mom, and I were in a tight embrace. Maybe the SLA wasn't a failure after all. We farted the whole day later.
I'm DeAndre Walker, a sixth grader at George Jackson Academy. The recipient of my Selfless Love Act is my dad. When I was little, he would treat me to my 3 favorite things: the park, McDonald's, and of course, America's Funniest Videos. Did I ever say thank you? No, I always asked for more and was never grateful for what he did for me. In fact, the only time he did hear from me was when I complained. Dad, I wanted to stay longer at the park. The fires are too cold. Can we watch 3 more episodes of America's Funniest Videos? You are mean, but I was never grateful for what you already did for me. My dad takes me to school every day and picks me up from school Tuesdays and Wednesdays. I thought it would be a good idea to give my dad a present for a change. I plan to give my dad a mug. I want to give him a mug because he works for the MTA as a bus driver and he always gets 2 to 3 hours of sleep. So when he gets coffee, he can put it in the special mug and he would think of me. The mug was white with hearts around it. It was the size of a mango. I planned to give my dad the mug in the afternoon, but my sister was there and I wanted it to be a one-on-one conversation. So I planned again to give my dad the mug in the morning on the way to school. To implement my SLA, I need to sacrifice my homework time and my breakfast. I usually eat Fruity Pebbles at 7:30 a.m. to 8 o'clock a.m. But I could not because I had to do the SLA in the morning. It does not matter what I'm sacrificing. The thing that matters is my selfless love act that I'm showing my dad. The day before the SLA, I started to cry because I was thinking about how selfish I was. To start the SLA, I gave my dad the mug. When I gave him the mug, he had a big grin, kind of like the Grinch, but not in a bad way. He admired the cup for 2 minutes, then said, "Thank you." These are the 2 words that I rarely say to him. Then there was a moment of silence before I proceeded to tell him the 5 reasons I was grateful for him. These included getting me a phone, taking me to school on time. If it was up to me, I would not arrive until after lunch. Making sure I am healthy and making sure I'm safe. He said thank you and started admiring the cup again. Then there was another moment of silence. It was awkward. I fell asleep to the beat of the wipers. When I left the car to school, I gave my dad a hug and I said thank you. Later that day, my dad was happy. My dad and I danced to a song that played on the radio. One of them was Animals by Maroon 5. I thought to myself, saying thank you could change somebody's day for the better. In the end, I was happy and so was he. Until this day, we have one of the best father and son bonds in the world.
Hello everybody, my name is Bubakar So, and I'm in the 6th grade at George Jackson Academy. One of my brothers named Ibrahim does not really get along with me the same way my other brothers get along with me. I think it's because I haven't shown much selfless love to him. He is my youngest brother. I still remember when I was 6, I was very happy that Ibrahim was getting bigger and older. I used to talk to him a lot and kiss him on the cheek when I met him at school or home. This happened very often. We are like a new couple that just got married. For some reason, when I turned 9.5, he was 5. I stopped kissing him and I stopped talking to him. I rarely play with him, especially because he tried to act tough. As we got older, we barely talked or played with one another. We were like the married couple on the verge of divorcing. This SLA was our chance at couples therapy. I decided to let him choose a game he wanted to play. Ibrahim chose dodgeball. We played the game indoors. I modified the game and I went to my room to find my box of toys and childhood memories, and I found the softball I won in a carnival. Ibrahim and my other brothers had 3 lives. If one of them gets hit, they lose a life. If they lose all 3 lives, they will be the person throwing the ball, otherwise known as the thrower. We played for 30 minutes. After we played, we rested for about 3 minutes. After we rested, I washed 6 plates because I would make patalitos y arroz con frijoles. While I was cooking, Ibrahim was reading my SLA notes and the notes I wrote about him. He stared at me for a while and called me a stalker, and he ran away. When I finished cooking the food, I put it on plates with 2 forks. I didn't put a lot of food because he doesn't like to eat a lot. After we ate, I washed all the dishes in the sink. Regularly, I would never wash the dishes. After I washed the dishes, I told him the 5 reasons why I am grateful for him while he uses my laptop. The 5 reasons are: he is a very generous person, he isn't impulsive, he tries to cheer people up when they are in a bad mood, he tells the truth always, especially in climatic situations, and he hates to fight with people. He ignored me, turned off my laptop, and said, "I'm listening," while I wait for him to make eye contact with me. When I finished telling him the reasons, he looked at me weirdly and then continued his homework. He says, "Okay," then later on asked me, "What's better, gum or food?" You just gotta love him, otherwise you'd go crazy.
My name is Gavin Pintrell, and I'm in the 7th grade in GJ. I'm not the perfect son, and I make a lot of mistakes. I also do not always make the right choices. For example, when I sat on my family's round glass table and ultimately broke it, I will admit it wasn't the brightest idea, but at least it forced us to live tableless for a few months. How about the time when I continuously flushed my toilet as if I was in an amusement park and could not stop having so much fun? That caused murky water to rise and stop just at the rim of the toilet. Okay, my mom still does so much for me, even so, and I do not tell her how much I appreciate that. I don't really know how to operate a television well, especially when I want to play my game. It can be very confusing. However, my mom understands our TV well, and she assists me when I'm in need of help, and that means a lot to me. Therefore, I plan on making her dinner, dessert, and fixing her bed. I'm doing these specific acts because my mom loves good food and also likes it when her bed is clean and neat. I plan for this selfless love act to take about 2 to 3 hours. This includes buying the groceries, making the food, setting the table, and fixing my mom's bed. After I do all of this, I hope she'll be proud of me. But what I really want is for her to be happy. That's my main objective. This will show my mom that I truly love her. One of the sacrifices I'll be making here is of my time. My free time is usually spent playing on the computer, going outside, reading, or completing homework that's fun for me. These activities are important because they allow me to relax and think about something else other than my academics. This act will also sacrifice my money, which I do not have a lot of. Therefore, I will yet again become a broke kid. I had to do a few things and go to Macy's before I was able to step into the grocery store. This annoyed me greatly because I personally abhor going shopping for clothes, shoes, jeans, or anything of that sort. Not only that, but my sisters were coming with me, which meant that I was not going to see daylight anytime soon. I had to survive with shopping with a whole lot of, "Ooh, that looks so nice," or "I need to buy this." My sisters galloped around the store with handfuls of clothes. My spirits exploded with happiness when I thought we were about to leave Macy's, but they instantly broke when I realized that my sister and I had to buy my dad a gift for Christmas. I did feel guilty for not wanting to buy him a gift, but decided that I should do it just because it was the right thing. When I thought we were all done, I flew out of the store. However, my mom dragged me back to the store, forced me to buy a present that was a better deal for my dad, and ultimately caused the whole shopping trip to last about 35 to 45 minutes longer. I finally left the store with a pair of socks that replaced the t-shirts that we originally bought. The entire shopping trip lasted about 3 to 4 torturous hours. When I was finally ended, I was greeted with rain. At that moment, I knew I was probably one of the unluckiest people on earth. My mom drove us to the grocery store known as Food Basics. In the supermarket, I started hitting there looking for items in my recipe. I ended up with a bag of potatoes, double cake mix, lamb chops, yogurt, and a candy for my sisters. It ended up costing exactly $9.99. I received 1 cent back because I had a $10 bill. I thought to myself, after about all the items, maybe I'm not the unluckiest guy after all. While I was in my mom's car, on my way home, she said, "Gee, I'm so hungry. When I get home, I'm going to eat because I have a bad headache." At that moment, I felt mixed emotions of determination, apprehension, and pure happiness. This was the perfect opportunity for me to make food for her. When we all got home, I unpacked the items and began to make the meal. I baked the potatoes in the velvet cake mix. Unfortunately, when I ripped open the bag, powder sprayed everywhere, leaving a red mess everywhere, including on my face. I realized at the moment how quickly I'll be fired if I ever became a baker or a chef. Also, while I attempted to crack an egg, the yolk exploded out of the shell and splattered in every direction possible, including on my face. Again. The kitchen looked as though a 4-year-old child was put in charge of cooking with the elephant at his side, clumsily trying to, how should I say this, break a single egg. The kitchen was a disaster. While I was pouring the red cake mix into the cupcake holders, some of it got on my hand. I sprinted around the house yelling, "I got caught red-handed." When I was done preparing the food, the lamb chops took the color of a golden, dark brown, savory meat. The mixed vegetables looked like juicy, exotic colors splattered in a pot, and the seasoned baked potatoes looked really tasty. Finally, when I looked in the oven, the cupcakes were done. They looked like 24 stoplights. When I saw 2 cupcakes I rose together into one because I placed them too close together, I laughed and broke them apart. Then I took out the nicest 4 plates we had and put them on the table, each on top of a red placemat. I saved my mom the biggest piece of meat. After I was done setting up the table, I stepped back and observed my work, and I was hit with the fact that nearly everything was red, the color of love. Even the chairs we were going to sit on were reddish. I felt so proud at that moment. I called everyone to the table, and their faces they made were of surprise and astonishment. My family looked so surprised. Everyone said, "Wow." My mom nodded her head in approval, and my sister said, "I'm so proud of you." All of these compliments made me feel so proud. As we sat down, said the prayer, and ate. Then we sat down, said the prayer, and ate. However, my heart dropped when I realized that the baked potatoes were undercooked. Oh my gosh. Undercooked. And everyone remarked how difficult they were to eat. My sense of failure, however, partially balanced when my family, especially my mom, told me how good the seasoned lamb tasted with the mixed vegetables. While we continued to eat, I told my mom I did this for her because she provides me with food, allows me to live in a safe haven, watches me over like a hawk eyeing its prey, cares about my academics by always pushing me to do better in school, and provides me with everything I have to wear and use. After I said all of this, I felt a bit awkward, but quickly turned emotional when my mom smiled and hugged me. Then, when the meal was over, I went into my mom's room and neatly made her bed. When I began my homework, my mom approached me, thanked me for making her bed and again for the meal, and gave me another hug. This made me feel happy and accomplished inside.
Hello, my name is Brandon Vega and I'm in the 7th grade. Even at the age of 5, Zoe's the coolest sister because she knows how to make me feel happy. She'll give me one of her candies or crack jokes to make me feel nice, and when I'm mad, she will talk to me nicely and pat me on the back. To repay her, I'm doing my selfless love act for her. Zoe loves to play as much as I, but recently I haven't been playing with her. We used to laugh and jump all over the place like monkeys swinging through a forest. Now most of the time when she asks me to play, I decline, as I am more interested in playing video games or watching TV than playing with her. I have noticed she gets really sad after I say no, and I wish that I had said yes all those times. Who knows, maybe she would have wanted to play video games or watch TV with me. My selfless love act will be to play with her for 2 hours. Plus, I'm taking an extra step, as I will be letting her play with all and any of my toys. This is a sacrifice of my time, as it is also a sacrifice of my personal property. The last time I let Zoe play with a lot of my toys, she broke them or lost them. It took me 3 days to find all the Lego pieces, and don't even get me started on how long it took to rebuild the Lego sets. When I went to play with her, she was already in the middle of a game called The Orb. When I asked if I could join, Zoe exclaimed, "Of course," with a huge grin. The rules of this game are simple. One of her plush toys, a superhero named Starfire, had a little green orb. If Zoe made Starfire touch any of my plush toys, they'd be trapped in a little blue box. In my opinion, it wasn't fair that none of my people could fly or have super speed. Obviously, she was able to touch me with the orb, and soon enough my plush toy army was defeated. After that, I was Starfire, and she had a plush army. I quickly caught all of her people in the blue box. She got upset, which made her put on a funny face. We both laughed and went on to the next game. We went from her room to the play area. Zoe had decided she wanted to play with my trains. First, we made a gigantic train track that covered the entire play area. It took a while, but it was worth it. After we had finished, we drove our trains around with remote controls, having them go in circles or straight. After that, we got bored and decided to have our trains try to push each other off the track. "Ultimate train battle," we screamed. We did this for a while until Zoe decided she wanted to use my Hot Wheels and build the world's craziest track. We made a track with many stunts and tricks. Afterwards, I realized that we had played for more than 2 hours. I almost extended the time limit by an hour because of how much fun I was having. But unfortunately, my parents had called us in to eat lunch. I was very sad and had the puppy eyes all through the meal. But before that, Zoe, the most awesome sister in the world, tackled me and said, "I hope your school does this again." "I love you too, Zoe." "I love you too, Zoe," I said happily. We hugged and went to eat. I learned a lot about Zoe today. I never knew she loved vehicles and crazy stunts so much, and I promise you that I will do this again, whether for school or not.
Thank you, boys, for your reading. I'd like to know from you guys who are sitting out in the audience, I know it was a few months ago that we did this project, but what do you remember it felt like when you were doing this? Eli, you want to take the mic?
So at first, I was pretty nervous about what would have happened because I wanted to cook for my mom, so I thought I might have set the whole place on fire. But my dad helped me out with cooking with the breakfast I was gonna make for her, and the look on her face when I gave it to her, that made my day because I was a little upset because I had to wake up pretty early.
Kev.
So I did mine yesterday for my father, and I think I was nervous just as Elias was nervous, but the real reason I was nervous was because I didn't want to lose to my father because he's very good at what he does. So when my father and I went to the bowling alley, he absolutely dominated me, so I was not happy about that, and I don't like joking. But it felt really good seeing that my father was happy to see that I could do something that he was doing, and he taught me how to play, and it made me feel really good seeing that he was happy to spend time with me.
Rod?
I did my SLA on my littlest brother, and what I did was I pretended to be an amusement park, and I gave him rides, and I
On your
knew.
back? What do you mean you gave him rides?
Oh well, I planned rides. Like I took him on my back and rode him through the house. I mean, he got on my back and then I traveled through the house. And there's another ride where he got on my back. Then I tried to shake him off onto the bed. So I felt tired, but excited to start. And I felt tired at the end because of carrying him. And at the end, I felt happy, and he felt happy too. So yeah.
So, it was 3 or 4 months ago that we did this project. So I'm curious to know, what's the residue of this experience? In other words, what sticks with you? You know, you did it as an English project for an assignment, and you were involved in it, and you all did a good job. But it's now 3 or 4 months later, and life has gone on. What do you remember, Jot? What did you really learn?
I learned that spending time with loved ones is the most precious time you can have, because even if you're sacrificing something, in my case, my back and
Your what?
my back, yeah, I gave him a piggyback ride and I let him beat me up a couple of times. Yeah. So
Mhm. Okay.
sometimes you have to sacrifice even important things to you.
Sharad? What sticks with you?
I learned that sometimes spending time with your family members can be worth more than buying them a present that they can possibly break or lose, and that if you were to take a day out of, like a Saturday, and spend time with your dad or your mom or somebody who you don't really think, you can see that they'd rather have you talk to them and watch TV and stuff rather than have a kid.
I agree with Sharad. I believe that communication is key, and that you might not have your family members for a long time. Like, life is short, so spending time really helps.
Jamal, what do you, what's the residue of this for you?
I did my SLA for my older sister, and she's about to go to college. And even though I made the world's most bitter chocolate, I realized that every moment's valuable because I only have a few more months before I might not see her for a few years. So I realized that even though you're gonna sacrifice something that you care about, your loved ones are always worth it.
Jesse?
So I don't really like, if I see a family member, I don't like to give them a hug or a kiss or anything. And so I learned that there's some things that you just need to do in order to make people feel good. Because sometimes I act like I don't really know anybody, and I just push away from my family and sit alone.
So I remember many things from my SLA. I remember the face that my mother had. She was so happy. And like Shahad said, sacrificing things, like me cutting myself when I'm cooking.
Mm-hmm.
And
Who did you cook for?
my mother.
Mm-hmm.
And I learned that it doesn't matter where you are or anything. It matters, it doesn't matter, as Sharad said, it doesn't matter if you give them anything. It matters what you tell them.
Mm-hmm. Thank you. We just have a couple minutes left. Anyone in the audience have a question or a comment for the boys about your experience going through this, or anything else you'd like to ask them about?
After writing this and doing this with your family members and loved ones, has it changed your relationship with them? Do you talk to them more often? Do you tell them what you're thinking and feeling?
All right, so my answer to that question is that I did my SLA with my father, and although we loved each other before, but to this day, from that SLA, love for me and my father is stronger, and we find out that we are easily able to relate to each other and understand to each other. And
Anybody else want to answer that question?
I did my SLA for my little brother, and it actually has changed the relationship I have with him. Because before I used to like ignore him, he did the same. But now, most of the time we would talk about things like video games, books, and things like that. TV shows, like whatever he brings up or I bring up, like basketball.
Great, thank you. And there's one final question from the audience. Yes, please.
You all have learned this, so I'd like to know if you were going to teach it to another boy or girl, what words would you use to tell them what they're going to do and why they're going to do it?
Well, I think that the words I would use is to think about someone other than yourself, because that can open up your options as to who you're going to choose to do yourself a slow back for. Because if you think about only what someone has done for you, you are going to be inclined to choose someone that you spend more time with. But if you think about someone that you haven't done a lot for, then all your options are open, and you can think about who's the most deserving.
If I were to use words to teach someone else how to do this, I would say if you're doing it to get a good grade, or if you're doing it just to get it over with, walk away and forget I ever told you this. The reason you should do something like this is to learn from it and to benefit yourself and the relationship you have with the recipient of the SLA.
Great. Okay, thank you all.